What's up, guys? Welcome back to House Parties and welcome to Chaos. Maybe it's your first time. I don't know. Welcome to House Parties. Welcome to Chaos. This month, we are doing a series called Asking for a Friend, where you guys submitted something like 80 questions about dating and relationships and how should we approach dating? How should we look at this? How should my relationship with Jesus affect the way I date? And we think that that is so important that we're spending all February talking about what dating looks like in view of our relationship with Jesus. You guys had a ton of really good questions when it came to breakups, because here's the thing, I think, the likelihood of you dating one person and never breaking up for the rest of your life is pretty much rare. So I think it's important that whether you're a 7th grader and you're just kind of like starting to be like, yo boys, yo girls, I'm in, like, let's go. I don't know why I said it like that. This is what happens.
I keep laughing.
It's okay. This is what happens when I don't have a script, okay? Shelby can leave this in there if she wants. But like, you know, like as you're starting to date and figure things out, like you should know, even if you've never really been broken up with yet, you should get these views in your head. Like start to see things with what we would call a biblical or a godly or a Christ-like view. It's super important for us, again, to view this part of our dating and relationships through our walk with Jesus. So let's answer some of these questions about breakups, because we're all experiencing this in some way, shape, or form in our lifetime. The first question we want to look at that you guys had about breakups is how to know when it's time to end a relationship. A lot of you also ask the question, hey, like, how do I tell my boyfriend or how do I tell my girlfriend that I don't think I have feelings for them anymore? Or really they kind of boil down to how to break up with someone. Some of y'all, no offense, need to make a call tonight, okay? Or you need to go talk to them tomorrow. Some of y'all probably should break up with someone. I'm not here to tell you that exactly. I'll leave that for your small group leader. But here's the thing. How we break up with people and how we end relationships, I think, is really important. We're talking about seeing our relationships through our walk with Jesus, okay? And over and over and over in the Bible, we as followers of Jesus are called to love people, to care for people, to be kind and gracious towards people. And that applies to how we break up with people as well. Here's the thing. We can be honest. We can tell the truth of why we're breaking up with someone, but I think that we can do it with grace and kindness. I don't know if you guys know the story. I've told it before. I like this girl named Whitney. She had crazy socks. We used to write notes to each other and leave them in each other's lockers. Didn't have the heart to say I love you, so we just wrote I heart you. Potentially the most cringy thing I did in 7th grade. When I decided to break up with Whitney for whatever my 7th grade boy mind told me to, my approach was to just never talk to Whitney again and just pretend like, who's Whitney? I don't know, does she exist? And all my friends were like, what are you doing, bro? Just go talk to her. And I was like, no, this will work. Eventually I worked that out, but that was a horrible decision. So listen, when you're like, hey, I think this relationship needs to be done, and maybe you're the one who's going to be doing the breaking up, I think that as a follower of Jesus, it is important that we love people. It doesn't have to be romantically, but we treat them with kindness and respect. We can tell the truth, but with grace and compassion, and we can do so even in a difficult conversation. All right, the next question we're going to go through about breakups is someone asked, hey, when do I know a relationship has gone too far? It's difficult to tell when a relationship has gone too far if you have never taken the time to set expectations or boundaries for your relationships in general. But if I never take the time to think, hey, why am I going to date? Or what are my expectations for this relationship? Or what are the boundaries? Where do I want to say this relationship should not go to these places or should not lead me to a certain place? If I never take the time to set those things up, I'll never know when it crosses a line because there's no line. And if you're ever going to know when a relationship has gone too far or know like, hey, I need to break up with this person, you should take some time to go, hey, what are my expectations for dating? Like, why am I going to date? What do I want to get out of this? Is that a healthy thing? And I think it's important. You should talk to your small group leader. You should talk to, if you have parents who are open and honest with your parents, and talk to them about like, hey, like, what should I expect to get out of this? What should I want? What are some good boundaries for me to set up that will keep me safe and allow me to, in our mindset here at Chaos, allow me to better follow Jesus. Because if I've never set those up before, I'll never know when I cross a line or when something becomes unhealthy. Another person asked this question. They asked, hey, what is a healthy way to get over a breakup? Listen, breakups are hard. Losing a relationship is difficult. I mean, if you've been dating for a week, it's one kind of hard. But if you've been dating for a while or it's someone you really know well, like breakups are really, really difficult and really hard on us. Listen, the first thing that I would say is when breakups happen, like feel the feelings. You know what I mean? Like we have a ton of feelings that are happening at once. There can be anger, sadness, shock, surprise, like bitterness, or like anything in between. Like this feeling of loss and defeat, like all this stuff. You feel a lot of things, and that's okay. Our feelings are good, but our feelings aren't God. Okay, so while our feelings are good and they tell us something, they don't always tell us the truth. They shouldn't always be in control of how we live our life. Okay, so we feel what we're feeling, but then we walk through our feelings to figure out exactly what's true and what our response should be. And a lot of times, another healthy thing that we should do is walk through those feelings in a community. Okay, so like in a Christ-like, godly community. We call chaos this, like, right? Our small groups, our house parties, they are a godly community, a group of people who are trying to follow Jesus together by encouraging and supporting and loving each other and pointing each other to Jesus. So when we're broken up with, a lot of times we want to crawl into our bed and be alone forever. Listen, you can be alone for a season. That's totally fine. But as you walk through what you're feeling, as you walk through the sadness or the anger or the bitterness or the defeat that you're feeling from that, walk through it with a group of friends who love you and love Jesus and ultimately can help point you to Jesus as you feel all those feelings. It's super important to have this community, to have people who will pray for you, who will encourage you, who will support you, who will just listen to you, who will just hang out with you in the difficult times, and who will ultimately, hopefully, point you to Jesus, the one you should run to. All right, last question we're going to talk about when it comes to breakups is, someone asked this, why am I so fragile when it comes to breakups? Our experiences in life, from the time we're little to now, shape the way we handle different things that happen in life. So like, the way I grew up, my parents, my home, my previous relationships, my previous experiences with breakups, all of that will shape the way that I handle another breakup, or shape the way I handle just struggle and difficulty in life in general. So my first thing is this, hey, give yourself some grace, okay? Like, be kind to yourself. Like, you have big feelings, you feel deeply, like something affects you deeply. Like, that's okay. God gave you those feelings. He designed you that way. You have things in your life that have shaped you in a certain way. But again, I would just say, when you feel those feelings, when you feel that fragile, like, have the conversation you need to have with friends. Like, find that community to talk to. Like, feel free to pray or talk to your small group leader. Or I would even say, like, if you really feel like, if you're getting older and you're like, man, I have these feelings and I just don't know what to do with them. Like, we say this, I don't know if we say this enough. It's okay to like talk to a counselor, talk to someone who can help you walk through, like, hey, you're feeling this way. Like, why do you feel that way? And what you can do to grow and just grow from the situation and become more and more like Jesus as you get older. I think it goes back to what Michelle talked about last week. I've been thinking about what Michelle said last week in our video a lot. And Michelle was just saying, hey, I think it comes down to how we prioritize Jesus and how we prioritize this person we're dating. So if I have let this person that I'm with become my number one priority, and they are everything, and they are my world, and they are what's most important, and being with them is what's most important, and they are shaping my identity, they're shaping the way I see the world, they're shaping how I react, they're just so important to me. When and if I lose them in a breakup, it is absolutely devastating, because I lose what I have made number one in my life, what I have allowed to define me and become my identity and shape me. I lose what's most important. And that can be devastating, and you can feel really fragile with that. But I think that if I can view dating correctly, and I can view it in light of my relationship with Jesus, that the number one most important priority in my life is knowing and following and becoming more like Jesus, my Savior and my God, then I think, I'm not saying that the breakup is like, it's not going to hurt at all, you'll be totally fine. I don't mean to say that at all. But when the difficulty comes and when that devastation, I guess you could say, happens, then I still see it in light of who Jesus is and who God is. I still have what defines me. It's Jesus, not this person. Where my identity is in Christ and not this person. And I can begin to see the difficulties and the suffering as something that can draw me to Jesus instead of pull me or push me away. So if we can prioritize Jesus as the number one thing in our life, if we can see our dating and our relationships and even our breakups, if we can see the good and the bad, if we can see our work and our schooling and everything in light of who Jesus is and my walk with him, I think it drastically changes our approach to things and how we handle the good and how we handle things that are tough, like breakups. Because breakups are tough, right? Having to break up with someone is tough. Being broken up with is tough. Dating is tough, right? Relationships are hard. People are hard. We're all broken. We're all messed up. It's difficult. But if we can follow Jesus, it'll drastically change the way we do it. And I think that we, as a group of students and leaders at Chaos, we want to be shaped by our walk with Jesus, and we want our walk and our relationship with Jesus to impact everything else. All right, I think that's all I got.